Hi, I'm Nate Fischer.
And I'm Dennis Stack.
And we are Cinema Buffs, bringing you another episode of Strongest Weakest.
Strongest!
Weakest.
So this week we are reviewing the new buddy comedy Keanu, which is from actors, producers Key and Peele.
Yeah, from the Comedy Central show.
Yeah, exactly. So this got us thinking about our favorite buddy movies.
Yeah, and originally when we were discussing the theme of this episode, we were going to narrow it down to like a kidnapping movies, about our strongest, weakest animal comedies.
Or buddy cop movies, or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
There's a lot of genres out there.
Right, but we decided to put our stamp on it and what we think are the best and worst buddy comedies.
Right, and this can be buddies that start off at the beginning of the movie as friends, or two strangers
who become friends.
two strangers of opposing personalities that become buddies. That qualifies as well.
Right.
So, Dennis, why don't you start us off? What's your strongest buddy movie in your opinion?
Yeah, well, we just discussed those two different kinds of buddy movies, and I've always liked the ones where these two strangers become friends.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite version of that is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
All right.
I mean, it's just, you got Steve Martin, John Candy, and John Hughes just like at the peak of their, prowess. Just so funny throughout. I mean, just everything about that movie is just so funny. And you can quote it over 100 times. You can watch it a dozen times. It's still hilarious every time you turn it on.
It is. It's a tradition in my family to watch it every Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and I love it. It's one of those Thanksgiving movies it's not really about Thanksgiving. It's about friendship. It's about family, which that has to play in Thanksgiving, but also about accepting people for who they are and adjusting yourself to accept people for who they are.
Even if they're as annoying as John Candy is.
Right. Well,
he's so annoying.
In some respects, Steve Martin's kind of equally as annoying. He's an
ass.
Right.
What's cool about that movie also is that it could have easily got a PG-13 rating, but it didn't because of
the car rental scene.
The car rental scene where he drops the F-bomb like
20 times.
Yeah, 20 times. And, it's such a good scene.
Obviously, we both have a lot of love for that movie, and I'm declaring it as my best buddy comedy of all time. So Nate, what do you got to match it? What's your best?
It's funny because that was in my top 3, but I actually went the other route because I'm going with a movie that they're buddies off the bat. And my favorite buddy comedy movie is Wayne's World. Wayne's World is just, I think, one of the most perfect comedy movies. This movie makes me laugh every single time I watch it. It has such rewatchability. It's Mike Myers' first feature-length film he's ever done, and he just kills it. Garth, Wayne, both of them are just such a perfect combo.
I personally love that movie myself.
I think Wayne's World is just really, really up there for me, and it seems like as I get older, the funnier it gets somehow. Every time I watch it, I keep remembering how incredibly funny that movie is. So that's definitely my strongest.
Yeah, and it's a treat because Mike Myers hasn't been that funny lately. So
he really hasn't.
It's good to see him in peak form.
Definitely. So let's flip it over. What's the weakest? I'm really curious about this one.
Yeah, so this one took a lot of thought. It was weird when I started researching what are these terrible buddy comedies. A lot of them I haven't seen and purposely avoided them.
Same here.
Looked like crap, turned out to be crap, and thank God I skipped it. Mm-hmm. But there was one movie that I was not fortunate enough to have that foresight, and it's the only movie I've ever walked out of. I've ever paid my ticket, sat there, and I was like, I'm not finishing it, I'm leaving it. And that's Year One, starring Jack Black and Michael Cera.
I didn't think about Year One.
Oh, that movie's, there's a reason you didn't think about it. That movie's so bad. The jokes didn't land. I took a date to it. Halfway through it, I'm like, I'm ready to leave. She's like, you paid, you wanted to see it. I'm like, let's go.
I felt like the opening scene of that movie, the opening situation was fairly funny. There was parts where I was like, this is funny. They are only hunters, there are only gatherers, and you have to choose one job. But it is pretty bad. It's just low budget. It looks like it was made in the early 90s.
Right. It looked like almost like a student film. You couldn't believe that, Paul Rudd and David Cross and Jack Black and Michael Cera in this movie, but
or Harold Ramis or even Helmet.
Right, and it's sad that this is the last movie Harold Ramis directed.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad that's how his directing legacy ends when he's got classics like Vacation and Caddyshack, Groundhog Day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think it was, and also this movie was really the end of beginning of the end of both Jack Black and Michael Cera. By the time this movie came out, their shtick, with their whole personalities that they always play.
Yeah.
Just started kind of get stale.
Michael Cera, he's pretty one note, I would say, in most of the things. I think that Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was after this, and I love Scott Pilgrim. I thought that was a great film.
Yeah.
Jack Black, I can't really get sick of him. I think he's funny. He can mow his lawn, and I laugh the whole time.
I just think he's good in small doses. I don't know if he's really like a leading man. I prefer more like a supporting role, like in High Fidelity, Orange County.
Yeah.
But I was really, really close to picking a different movie. But I realized that this movie's so bad, it's good. And that's Top Dog with Chuck Norris, like Chuck Norris's crappy version of Turner and Hooch.
Yes.
Where like the dog was smarter than Chuck Norris. Like they even put in the credits, like one's tough, and they show Chuck Norris, like one's smart, and they show the dog like launching a goon off a launch pad. It's just so funny. But anyway, I've talked about my weakest. So Dave, what do you got? I'm dying to hear what your weakest.
Well, my weakest is, I think I've seen the whole thing. Pretty sure I have. Maybe not. But it's Double Team with Dennis Rodman and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I've seen this whole movie
from 1997.
numerous times.
This movie, it seemed like in the 90s, for some reason, movie producers were like, let's get basketball players to act in films.
Right.
They're good actors, but none of them are. Athletes have never been known to be very good actors at all. LeBron James has proven himself to be acceptable in modern day era.
Some of them are okay. Like, I mean,
who?
Let's talk about before 1994. O.J. Simpson was really good in the Naked Gun movies.
He's a football player.
Well, it's true. Okay, all right, yeah. I guess if we're going with basketball.
Well, it seemed like 90s was primarily like Space Jam was a hit. So they're like, well, let's make Shaq Fu, and let's make Shaq Fu was a video game, but let's make Steel or Kazam, and now Double Team. So it's like Dennis Rodman's all risky and he has colored hair, so let's put him in a rated R. Right.
Ooh, I thought of one. Ray Allen was good and He Got Game.
Okay. Yeah,
all right.
That was good. He got game. Double Team is just you just watch the trailer and you'll get a lot of laughs out of the trailer for sure. It's really bad. There's so many jokes in that movie about Dennis Rodman's hair. You can't even count them.
Right. And I mean that movie it was just really weird. Like the tone.
They went around the world filming this thing. They went tons of different locations and Dennis Rodman's a colorful, quirky arms dealer is what he plays.
Let's not forget how bad Mickey Rourke is.
Mickey Rourke back in his in between stages where he didn't know where he wanted to go with his career.
Steroids were taking toll.
So that was definitely my worst. I had a couple on the back burner. I left off Cop and a Half with Burt Reynolds.
That's pretty bad. How about Cop Out with Bruce Willis,
and also Cops and Robertsons.
Yeah.
With Chevy
Jack
Chase.
Palance.
Yeah, that was really bad as well. But like you said, there's just not that many that I've seen that are bad buddy movies. The list of good buddy movies, the list went on. I just kept adding and adding. There was just tons of them. So, but the bad ones, I had to go with Double Team. That movie sucks.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, there you have it. There's our strongest, weakest buddy movies. What'd you think? What's your strongest, weakest? Are you upset we left out Dumb and Dumber? Did you actually enjoy Double Team? Leave the comments below.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And be sure to check us out next week. We'll be bringing you our review of Keanu. We will also be announcing the winner of the Star Wars Blu-ray DVD combo.
That's right. Thanks for joining us. And remember, there's no place like the theater.